Welcome everyone to Create, Engage, Succeed. We are in season 2, and today we have Mohsin Memon, who I met as a result of the pandemic, which is so cool because I've met so many really cool people from around the world because we got stuck in our houses. So Amadeus, why don't you introduce yourself, Mohsin, and we'll let you introduce yourself in just a second, and then we're going to get started with some conversation.
All right. Hello, everyone. Good morning. I'm Amadeus Dunley. As you know, co-founder of LDT with Mary, and I take care of most of our back-end stuff. Much like my background, I'm the invisible person in the company.
Cool. I guess it's my turn.
Yep.
It's your turn.
All right. So, my name is Mohsin, and I'm a game designer. I build games for fun and for learning, and I've been doing that for the last 6 years. And before that, I've been in the learning space and worked with various multinational companies. And here we are. I met Mary, like she said, through the pandemic, and it has been an incredibly exciting journey in the last year for all of us, I think.
Yes. So tell us a little bit more about your journey. Like, how did you go from the corporate space to the game design space to then creating this fantastic, not only leadership game, but the new one that you've got in the works?
Yeah, well, it started out with while I was working with Delta and Walmart back in the States. I knew my heart was always into learning, and I always wanted to do something with learning. My learning team loved me, by the way, in both these companies, because I would always do some kind of training or some kind of, exciting learning programs that I'd be a part of. And eventually I decided to really just jump ship and move into the learning space. So, so I started out with doing a lot of freelance work because people wouldn't hire me because I didn't have a learning background. And so I said, you know what, I'm just gonna dive in and give it a shot. And so I did a lot of freelancing work, and that stuck. I did a lot of training, face-to-face facilitated learning experiences, and every time I would deliver one of these experiences, I always wanted to use activities and sort of games, or minor games here and there, and eventually realized that the experiences that were more well connected and had a sort of a journey throughout from start to end were the ones where the participants enjoyed the most and learned the most as well. So that led me onto the path of exploring games for learning, which was well over 6 years ago. And I built my first game for an experimental client we were working with at the time, large communication devices company for their project management team, and then went on to building a bunch of games after that. So
Awesome.
That's very cool. So what have you found is the most challenging part of getting, especially companies, to embrace the idea that game-based learning has a place in the corporate world?
you know what I want to preface this by saying that it's getting easier. um, 5 years ago, the difficulty that I used to face looked a bit like management saying, um, leaders are not going to play games. These are hard-boiled, you know, executives, and they're not going to play any games at all. They might do a simulation, might, but they won't play games. And today my conversations are more like, is this the right game for this group of people? Because they may not like sci-fi, or they may not be into fantasy in that way, and that's a great thing to have, because we're moving, the conversation has shifted from never mind this to let's consider it, and what are the options? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Well, just so you know, as you've seen me looking away, I'm actually chatting with some people that are watching. And we've already got one person interested in learning more about Vive, the leadership game, and running it with their group.
Oh, wow. That's
So why don't you
interesting.
tell us a little bit more about it? And
Sure. I'll give a little bit of background as to why Evive, and why I decided to make Evive what it is today. So when I first built Evive, the intent was very selfish. I wanted to, use the game to deliver learning experiences for my clients, and that was great. It was brilliant because My clients loved me. I charged a bomb because there's nothing else that was anything like it out there, and it was brilliant. But when the pandemic happened and when a lot of the things changed, it really kind of got me to think about priorities. And I started realizing that there are so many people out there who are learning practitioners who want to use games, but don't necessarily have the know-how of how to build the game, or don't have the funding to spend to build, an entire infrastructure of games. And a game like Vive is a very nuanced game. It's not like your plug and play that you pretty much use in most cases. So I thought, what if I made this game available? So went to work on the back end and built the infrastructure to be able to support a range of facilitators who could use this game. And now, so the game is now available for facilitators to use it with their own set of learners for profit with their companies, if they client companies, if they want to. We built a certification program. I remember, Mary, when you joined the certification program, it was like Frankenstein, right? It was just like bits and pieces, and I was just scrambling to get it going because that was important for me at that time. I needed to be out there so it could help people. But today, it's a very streamlined process. We've got the entire certification program. Looks like Coursera kind of feels like it as well. And by the end of it, you become out a certified facilitator who can run the game independently.
Love it. So we're going to get back into a little bit about the nitty gritty of the game. But first, I want to go to what you said earlier. And at some point, I will let Amadeus talk. But you talked about when you first started the certification, you Frankensteined it. And the reason I'm asking about that is there are so many entrepreneurs out in the world today that feel like I can't come to market. I can't launch a business unless it's all shiny, polished, Coca-Cola level. Like I've got all my branding and all my marketing and I can't do it. People won't pay me. I can't do the thing. And yet, speaking from my own experience, you've got a very successful product, a very successful game. It didn't scare me off that the facilitator training wasn't as polished. In fact, it was kind of like, oh, okay, it doesn't have to be perfect. And it's been really fun for me to watch each class go through and evolve and the new things that you're adding, because it makes my experience better. But, how did you decide to go with your heart versus, what maybe many experts are saying of it's got to be a polished product?
A brilliant question. Thank you for asking that.
It's like, okay, I wasn't expecting that one.
I really was not, but since you've asked it, I'm gonna try my best. I think what happens many a times when we are in search for perfection, we're search for something that's just going to blow people away. We are attempting to build it, and I think there's a lot of personality in that as well, because you don't want to get rejected. You don't want it to fall flat on its face. You want it to do well. It's like a child, and in many ways. And so in doing that, sometimes we don't let it ever take wings, and stop it from becoming great on the way. You know what I mean? And that's kind of what I did. I heard this really interesting saying not very long ago, and today we live in a world of SaaS. You've heard of SaaS, software as a service, right? And I think a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of startup founders are looking to build SaaS products, and the realization that came to me was that before a solution turns into a SaaS solution, software as a service, it needs to first be a service. And so I will say build the service first, and then build the software to automate that service. You know what I mean? And so that's why it was important for me that I had the game, which was the most important part of it. I didn't need the whole service around it, and I just had to teach it to people. As long as that had value, that was good enough for me to then build the service around it and say, okay, now you guys can book your own sessions on your own, and you can buy the credits on your own. You can do everything on your own. But it starts with, does the product itself has value? And you'll never know that until you get it out there, until you use it, until you get users to use it, even if it's Frankenstein. Like just a couple of days ago, and in a couple of days, you're going to be playing one of my products games, which is a unconscious bias game that we're working on, me and 10, 15 others who've been working on it. We've been going at it for nearly 6 months or so. And when you play it, you'll see it's built on Excel. And that's the idea, just get it out there. And the kind of insights that we're gathering from just 2 gameplays so far, we're doing the 3rd one now. We would have never gotten those kinds of insights by having hours and hours of endless conversations with the team, just racking our heads on should this be the mechanic? Should that be the mechanic? No, we'll never get that.
And I love it. And I am so saddened that I was not able to make a time commitment to work on the game. There were just too many other conflicting priorities, and I'm excited to see where this is. And I like where you said, hey, we're doing this in Excel, because one of the things that Amadeus and I work with our clients when we're talking about gamifying or game-based learning is you don't have to have Unity programmers and high-level programs. There are things that you can do as simple as using Excel or putting an Easter egg into a Word document, or to build that engagement. You don't have to spend tons and tons of money until you know it's going to work.
Yeah, spot on. And the technology is the medium. It's not the result. What you're really working on is the design, and design changes everything. So if you've got the design right, then technology is just a facilitator of that design. But if your design itself is flawed, then no amount of technology is going to fix that.
Yeah. It's like cooking. If you start with poor ingredients, it doesn't matter how good you are, the dish is still not going to be great. If you start with good ingredients, even if you're a horrible cook, your dish still has a chance of making it.
Yeah.
Amadeus, I'm going to let you chat a little bit, and I'm going to be quiet.
Okay, well, I've got a couple questions for you. We'll go back to a little bit less in-depth of a topic. So I want to ask, was there any, in your years of working, was there anything that you came across that someone else had done that you would just see it and went, wow, I need to be able to use something like that in my development? Because we recently had that happen to us.
Absolutely. And I think that's such an important part of your career growth and of your work. You've got to surround yourself with people who are doing some amazing work. And I'm constantly feeling that way. One of the earlier people that inspired me was Jane McGonigal with her work, Super Better and all these kind of cool games. And then, there were some games that I played as well early on, like Assassin's Creed, a lot of the Ubisoft games. Like recently, I've been playing Divinity, which is another brilliant game. And yeah, 2 thumbs up for that one. And I just can't get over how awesome Mass Effect is. And so what I'm saying is, like, these things are and I just recently posted about Heaven's Vote. I don't know if you guys saw that, but I looked at it and I just recently got inspired by that. So my point is, I'm constantly getting inspired by others' work. And John Ingot with Ink, Ink, the narrative game engine. Such a cool thing, and it puts the power in our hands as designers to be able to create non-linear narrative, and then eventually embedded within something like a Unity, which is super cool. So anyway, point is, I'm constantly getting inspired by the world around me and seeing all the great, incredible things people are doing.
That's awesome. That's good to hear, because I feel like a lot of people will see other stuff and instead just get really intimidated by it and go, I can't do that. There's no way I can do that. I'm not going to be able to keep going. But it's like you want to hear, like, no, I saw something. I was like, we can do that. We can use something like that.
Yeah, but that's the other thing, right? So it's never, for me, it's never like, oh, I can't do that, because I'm not trying to do that at all. I'm not trying to do that anyway. I'm just inspired. I'm just amazed that such a thing exists, and I'm like, wow, this is great. And the thing is, I just recently wrote about this a couple of days ago, and I said, a lot of times what we build is in an image of our own selves. And sometimes we don't work on ourselves enough to see the end product. If you were to take every part of your being and turn it into a product, which would have, all these cool features, would you be glad to have that? Or would you be like, oh, this is a pretty mediocre average product?
Oh, what a great way to look at that. I love it.
So I'll just ask one or two more questions, then we'll give you some time to talk about yourself, what's going on. So a couple people in the audience are very interested in a demo of Vive. Would you mind talking about your weekly games?
Sure, not at all. I host a weekly game, and I've been doing it probably the most consistent thing that I've ever done. I host literally, I am not kidding. I was just looking at my data, and well over 500 people have played the game in just the last year. And that's just by me, all right? And this is not people like you guys are hosting games as well every once in a while. And like you, there are so many others that are also hosting games. So I host a weekly game week on week every Thursday, and I keep a 3-week rolling calendar, which keeps updating the dates week on week. So there was one today. There's going to be another one next week, so on and so forth. So there's a link. I'll be happy to share that link with them that they can just head over to and sign up if they like that.
That would be excellent, because there are some of the folks in our audience that we know that we will be able to run games for, but there are other people that maybe because of time zone differences or whatever, it might be more effective if they join your weekly game, or we put them in touch with somebody who's in a time zone that's a little bit more conducive to them. I mean, well, it's almost 9 o'clock at night for you. It's only 10 o'clock in the morning for us. I'm not at my best at 1 o'clock in the morning. So, if there's somebody that's like, yeah, we really want you to run a game. I'm like, you're not getting the best, Mary. You're getting the sleep deprived, Mary. And yeah, I could probably push the buttons. So I would love to be able to have this for that more broad global audience as well, to go, oh yeah, I could do this.
Absolutely. I'd love that.
Excellent. I'm going to ask next question.
Next question. Sorry, that was the last one. I was going to let you talk about yourself now.
Well, I guess the other question, you were talking about the unconscious bias game. Are you still looking for folks to join on Saturday to help you out? Or is this sort of like we're maxed out and forget about it?
No, there's no max. I mean, there's all the players that can come. You're all welcome. And I just created the event on LinkedIn so people can join in. It's at 7:30 p.m. India time. I don't know exactly what time it would be around the world. But I'm guessing it's more or less 12 hours difference. So for the United States, at least.
Excellent.
So yeah, welcome.
I will post that link in the comments as well. The question is, if it's a LinkedIn link, will they be able to use it from Facebook?
Yeah, so the link is just simply a director to the Google Meet.
Okay.
So the meeting is actually going to happen on Google.
Okay, excellent. I mean, I know I signed up, but I just clicked the buttons and went, okay, somebody's going to send me a notification. I'm not paying attention to, because I was on the LinkedIn platform.
Yeah.
So we're gonna wrap this up, because I know it's getting late for you. What are 3 things you would like the audience to take away from your chat? How can they get in touch with you? And do you have anything aside from the weekly games that you would like to offer to the audience that they can go, yeah, I want to reach out to him, or I want to play his game, or whatever?
Sure, absolutely. Okay, so what are 3 things? I would say first and foremost, get started with whatever you're working on, whether technology or design, learning programs. Get started. Second, don't let the idea of it has to be perfect hold you back from putting something out there. And third, games don't have to be complex. They can be simple, they can be easy, they can be Frankenstein, and they can work. Your ultimate bottom line, real litmus test, if you will, is, are people playing and having fun? Because if that's what's happening, then no matter what you've created, it's a game and it works. For example, just the other day, I was playing with my nieces back in the States, and we were playing this little game. We said, all right, let's say who puts the finger on the camera, and you have to catch my finger before I lift it off. And we played that for a while, And that was a fun little game, and that's all it took. So what I'm saying is you could do something really, really simple and engage people. Uh,
And the
so
reason
yeah.
I'm laughing is when Amadeus was younger, I used to bring him to work with me along with my daughter, and they would sit in the hallway in the office and just play roll ball for hours. And it was literally, they sat in the hallway and they just rolled the ball back and forth down the hallway. And it's like, it was a simple, fun game. And the other faculty members would come out and go, oh, there they are playing roll ball.
Cool. Absolutely. Robot can be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Got me in.
Because when you're talking about the finger on the camera, I'm like, it's that same kind of thing. It was just, but it kept them entertained while I was working.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome.
So
So
how do we
for
get in touch
and
with you?
get in touch with me, LinkedIn. That's the only social media that I use. So I can drop my LinkedIn connection thingy over there somewhere, and people can get in touch with me. I do have a Twitter, but I hardly ever visit it.
Mhm.
How else can they get in touch with me? Um, yeah,
That's
I'm
good.
very responsive on LinkedIn. I don't know if that's good enough,
Yeah,
but
we
I'm
send
pretty
people over to
responsive there.
LinkedIn. It's just funny. We're on Facebook telling them to go
I
to
know.
LinkedIn.
Mark's not going to like it very much.
Well, they're
Yeah,
non-competing
he doesn't care.
platforms, and he might say, hey, maybe I can convince them to come over. But we have a very strong, solid following here on Facebook. So I wanted to make sure that we were able to get the word out as
Yeah,
well. And then last
cool,
thing, any
cool.
offers or anything you'd like to share with the audience?
I do actually. There's something that I'm working on, and it's something that is very close to my heart right now in the middle of the pandemic. You know that I have a certification program in place, which is meant to help learning practitioners learn how to use Evive to use for their own customers and clients. And one of the reasons I'm even charging for it is because I want serious people to get into the program, and the amount is also very nominal, just $99 to get in, and you learn how to use the entire platform and get certified. What I'm doing now is, in the light of the pandemic in India especially, things are really, really bad here. So I've committed to give away 50% of all the sign up fees that come from international, and 50% of all of the purchases that any of the learning practitioners make, existing facilitators make, straight towards helping these people and getting oxygen tanks or getting whatever necessary to be able to save lives. And
Wow.
that's something that I'm committed to, which I will continue to do for at least a few months until the situation gets in control here.
That's excellent. Well, if you want to send me the link for that too, I'll be sure to put that in the notes so that any interested learning practitioners who might like to explore the facilitator program have a direct link to take a look and get that information as well. And having gone through the program myself, even in the earliest versions, not only do you learn how to facilitate the game, it really improves your virtual facilitation skills. And you learn a lot about yourself. And I know we're supposed to wrap up, but I just wanted to share, when you were helping me facilitate after I'd been certified, but it was like my first real group, and we were messaging in Slack. And one of the things that was like a real eye opener, and that was, your wisdom was so good. It's like, Mary, sometimes you just have to back off and let them figure it out themselves, because it is so hard as a facilitator, whether it's a game, a mastermind, a workshop, you just want to go in and fix it for people and say, no, you're doing the wrong thing. And you're just like, no, keep your hands off the keyboard. Keep your hands off the keyboard. And I'm like, ah. So even if you're not a learning practitioner, but you're interested in games, or you're in a group, an organization, a school or something, this is something that I could really strongly get behind and say, you need to check it out.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for sharing that little story. And I think, sometimes we really, because we believe in change so much, we want to make an impact, we want to help people, that sometimes you're helping them by not helping them.
Yes, I love it. So this has been a fantastic conversation. Some of the comments that I'm getting are the guests that we bring onto our show are just super dope. So that the audience loves the unique and special guests that we bring on. So Mohsin, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you. Hey, I just want to add one more thing.
Sure.
If anybody on your show or watching this is from India, the certification program is at no cost for them.
Oh, wow.
So that's the other thing that I've done. I forgot to mention that earlier. But the certification program is at no cost, and they will receive all of the credits for 50% discount after they do get certified.
Oh, wow.
So,
yeah, I do have some folks in India that watch us regularly, so I will make sure I reach out to them individually as well to say, this seems like it's something that's right up your alley. Why don't you go check it out? That's amazing that you're giving back. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
This is Mary and
Amadeus
and
Mohsin
saying goodbye from today's episode of Create, Engage, Succeed.